It is now.
Thank you.
Sure. You're welcome. Okay, so we started on Tuesday with learning our what I call our commencement, or the Wu Qi into Tai Chi, or Wu Qi into Qigong. So remember that Wu Qi is sort of this empty stance, where we still find some structure, but we're not necessarily engaged yet in our movement or our practice. And then we step into, and I'm going to call it stepping into Tai Chi, because that's, to me, is where then it's sort of like we turn it all on. We step into this more active state where we are constantly trying to work towards, creating or balancing our Qi. So again, we talked about Qigong really being focused on balancing or regulating your energy, versus maybe just moving it around or building it, because again, we're thinking about the 5 elements as they relate to Chinese medicine, and those 5 elements, earth, metal, wood, water, and fire, they feed each other, but they also regulate each other. So that's why I like to think about that concept is, again, we may have days where we need this practice or our Tai Chi or Qigong to bring us down a notch and center us, and sometimes we need it to lift us up. So think about that. Maybe no matter kind of where you are mentally today or emotionally today, you can kind of apply that concept and hopefully feel a little more grounded when we're done. So let's go ahead and just review our commencement into the earth form. Again, when we stand in the earth form, hands are, let me adjust myself so you can see my hands. Hands are just right here down in front of the dantian. So the center point of the palms, we have an acupuncture point here, and we just kind of want them reflecting on the dantian area. And you can see the nice gentle curves here. It's almost like I'm kind of holding like this heavy beach ball. So we will start with our feet together into our Wu Ji stance. Go ahead and shift your weight to your right leg. Sink the weight so you can step the left foot out to hips width apart. You can take a moment to make sure your stance is how you want it to be. We'll breathe in, kind of think about activating the mind, activating the breath, pulling the hands in, sinking, slight bend here in the knees. And then we'll just let the hands fold here in front of the dantian for 3 nice breaths. And then we'll just let the hands kind of rise up again. We'll call this just our closing form. Let the hands kind of pull in and down. Shift the weight back to the right leg and step the left foot so it's back beside the right. Great, how did that feel? Good, familiar, hopefully? Let's try to scoot this back, sorry. Great, so hopefully everybody remembers the commencement, the conclusion, or how we would close. And the thing about the earth form is that we're going to keep coming back to it. So we will start and end with our 2 kind of bookends, and then we will always come back to earth. So we're going to do earth multiple times throughout this form. And I'll show you what I mean as we go through. I'll demo that. So the next element is the metal element, and I am going to read a little bit. I apologize, but I don't know this by heart. So metal is connected with the lung meridian, and it traverses up the inside of the arms, beginning at the thumbs. Metal is hard, but also malleable, and the lung meridian is helpful for preventing colds and breathing problems. So the Tai Chi, or the Qigong movement we do here to kind of connect with our lungs is what in our Tai Chi for arthritis form we just call open and close. So the hands are like this, they are about neck width apart. And I like to think of it as kind of in front of my chest or in front of my heart. Fingertips pointed up towards the sky, palms, again, reflecting towards each other. And again, you can kind of see that there's like these gentle curves. So we don't want our hands too close to our chest, because if you pull them in, you'll notice that your upper back is going to start holding some tension. And then if you're too far away, that actually might strain your lower back. So you might notice that. So you kind of want to find a sweet spot, wherever is just comfortable for you. And so let's just try this movement. And again, when you're here, you kind of just sink a little bit deeper in your stance. Notice your feet. Kind of notice maybe your palms, how they're reflecting the energy from one another. And then as you breathe in, just simply let the hands pull apart. And then as you exhale, let the hands pull back together. So that's not too terribly hard, I don't think. Hopefully that feels pretty good.
Nicole, what did meridian mean? Line meridian.
That's a great question. I don't think I explained that on Tuesday. And hopefully I'll explain this in a way that makes sense and that I'm not kind of botching it. But a meridian is, in Chinese medicine, like in acupuncture, for instance, a meridian is sort of like a blood vessel, but it's not a blood vessel, but it's like an energy network. So they run throughout the body as if you were looking at a picture of your blood vessels. It would look very similar. So the idea is that it's an energetic channel, and that they are connected to our qi and to our energy. So if we have pain or illness, then that might be that the meridian is not flowing. I kind of think of it as like a river of energy. It's blocked, it's stagnant, or again, it might have excess. It might be too turbulent and it needs to calm down. So that's kind of the idea.
Okay.
Great question. All right, good. Let's see. So what I wanted to also offer is, here we're thinking about sawing the joints as we open. I'm opening my chest. I'm letting my shoulders open. But I'm also lifting through the crown of my head. I'm going through what I think of like this expansion. So I'm kind of expanding as I open. Hands come back together, I'm sinking. So I might bend just a little deeper in my knees. Breathing in and opening, exhaling and sinking. So that just adds a little more to it, I guess, with the breath. One thing, and I apologize, one thing I wanted to offer in terms of the earth stance, and I'm wearing a skirt, so you really can't see me, but think about when your legs kind of come up to meet your pelvic girdle. Don't think of it as a V. Think of it more as an arch. So when we're standing in this stance, I want you to think about kind of opening your hips a little bit here too. Okay, so we've talked about letting them kind of rotate forward, but just also think about, again, sinking in that stance, hips as an arch. So now you're just opening. So again, every aspect of my body is created this nice gentle curve. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, so let's go through the form. Let's add in the metal movement. So what it will look like, and just follow along, is we go through our commencement. We do 3 breaths in our earth stance. We come up to the open and close position and do 3 breaths in our lung stance. We come back down to earth. 3 breaths in earth again, and then we simply close. Okay? So that's what I meant by every time we add a new movement or element, we're going to always come back to earth afterwards. Make sense? Okay. I'm going to just turn on a little bit of music. Was that okay? Could you hear it on Tuesday? Okay. So beginning in Wu Ji stance, feet are together. Just notice your posture. Nice deep breath in, let it go. Stepping out with the left foot. Breathing in, arms rise up. Pulling in and sinking. Earth stance. 3 breaths. Hands come up to the heart for open and close. 3 breaths here. Let the hands come back down in front of the dantian for the earth stance. Let the hands relax. Pulling in, lowering down one last time. Shift the weight back to the right foot, left foot comes into match. Excellent. Y'all did great. How did that feel? Pretty good? Great. You know, so one thing I talked to my Tai Chi students about, and I think I touched on it a little bit Tuesday, is one of the, you know, we have so many different principles and you don't have to be thinking about all of them all the time. But this particular kind of set, the movements are simple. So we really want to take time to think about the breath. And one of the things I like to think about as I'm breathing is, how do I hold structure? How do I get deeper in my stance, you know, feel more rooted in my feet while at the same time getting more relaxed, right? So it almost seems counterintuitive to, you know, kind of be strong and relax at the same time. But that's kind of the neat thing about Tai Chi and Qigong is one of the metaphors I've heard is that we want our body to be steel wrapped in silk. So something to think about.
Sounds decadent.
Go ahead.
Sounds decadent.
Yeah. So the next element is the water element. Water is the kidney meridian. So it travels up the inside and the back of the legs to the kidneys. The water element is important for cultivating energy and vitality. And I would agree, you know, if we don't drink water, we will perish quite soon. So, you know, water and your kidneys, I mean, obviously they're very connected. So the other thing you can be thinking about, you know, when we're doing these sets, and again, you may not remember them today, and I can send you all some more information, like kind of like my lesson plan for this. It's got my cliff notes. But if you want to think about, you know, bringing chi to those particular parts of your body, or bringing just like good energy or healing energy. For instance, you know, maybe you or somebody you know has is diabetic or has kidney disease. You know, bringing that energy to your kidneys, it doesn't hurt. I can't promise it's going to help, but it certainly doesn't hurt. You know, and I think there's a lot to be said about the power of the mind being able to heal the body. Okay, so for this movement, it looks a lot like Earth. And I'm gonna exaggerate it so you can kind of see what it's supposed to kind of feel like. But just know I'm kind of exaggerating. So what we're kind of doing here is we're still here in this Earth stance. As we breathe in, we're gonna slightly lift. As we exhale, we're gonna sink. So you can see I'm sinking a little deeper in my knees, almost like a little teeny mini squat. Now, one thing I will definitely caution you is to make sure you're keeping this straight spine. So lift through the crown of the head, sink through the tailbone, rising up, sinking down. Again, you might just think about it as sitting on the edge of a bar stool. And one of the imagery I like to think about with this one, again, because it's the water meridian for the kidneys, or the water element for the kidney meridian, is sort of like this is like a water pump, okay? So I'm pumping up the water, and then I'm letting it kind of wash out. So, and sorry, you can do this if you want. You can kind of scoop up and down, or you can just simply keep your hands here and rise and fall. It's totally up to you. You may see me do either or both, okay? So due to time, I'm not going to throw this in, and we're going to kind of do it all together at the end, but let's just practice that movement just on its own, okay? So we'll go through about 3 to 5 breaths. So water element here. Rising up, breathing in, sinking, exhaling. So hopefully that feels good. Again, I think about this idea of the arch here as my legs come up to my pelvic bone or my pelvic girdle. I think about sinking a little deeper in my stance. And as I sink, I'm thinking about kind of dropping my thoughts or my energy or however you want to think about it. But I'm dropping it down and I'm noticing my feet. You know, as I'm exhaling, I'm sinking down. I'm just noticing how my feet feel connected to the ground. All right. The other thing you can be thinking about here too is, you know, again, that idea of songing the joints. We're opening the joints, right? So as we're rising, we might think about opening these hips, lifting through the crown of the spine. And as we sink, maybe we're thinking about dropping that tailbone, opening the knees a little bit. So you can still think about opening and then just sinking. Okay, so always kind of that back and forth. Any questions so far? I know I'm kind of trucking along here, and then I promise we'll have time to kind of put it together a couple of times. So the next element is the wood element, and wood is connected to the liver, or the liver meridian. It travels up the inside of the leg. The liver metabolizes and cleans out toxins and creates balance within the body. Wood helps to create energy and vitality. So this is one I really like. I mean, I like them all, but this is one that I think is just really neat. And so again, you know, we're always coming back here, right, to the earth stance or the earth element. And so for wood, we're just simply going to bring the hands and almost trace the outside of that beach ball we were thinking about, bringing it up to shoulder height, kind of bringing the thumbs together, and then bringing them back around. So it's really just, we're just tracing this big ball. Or maybe thinking about tracing, if you were thinking about holding up the earth, tracing the earth. So again, you can think about maybe just a slight, I don't know about, maybe a slight rise and fall, but you know, just lifting through the crown of the head and maybe just sinking a little bit here. So again, the movements are pretty straightforward. So the principle I wanted to touch on for this one is something you've probably already experienced a little bit with some of our practicing. And we get that when we really start focusing on the breath, and it's a concept called Jing. It's spelled J-I-N-G. And if you look up Jing, there are different kind of translations of Jing and intents of Jing, but the Jing I'm specifically referring to here is this idea of mental quietness or mental serenity. So Joanne probably is familiar with this because I know she practices meditation. And Annie, you may have other practices in your life that you experience this too, where you're really like, you kind of get that to that point where you don't have the chatter, you don't have what we call like the monkey mind in Tai Chi, where it's just quiet. And it might be a second, it might be a handful of seconds, or it might be minutes if you're, you know, really good at that concept. But that's what I want you to think about here is just focusing on the breath, focusing on pairing the timing of the movement with your breath, and just see if you can kind of feel that mental quietness or that mental serenity. Okay, so we'll try this movement with a few breaths now, okay? Starting at earth and begin. Great. Out of curiosity, are anybody's hands feeling a little tingly or warm? Maybe, maybe not. Well, if it is, that's your circulation, but it's also your qi. You know, so hopefully we're creating a little bit of energy here in our hands and our arms. Okay, so the last element in our 5 elements is fire. So fire is the heart meridian. It travels up the inside of the arms from the pinky finger to the chest. And the heart is critical to healing, to health, to joy, to happiness. So your fire element is also a really neat movement. And I like to think of it as sort of this open and close, but instead of going like parallel to the ground, we actually go perpendicular to the ground. Or you can think of it as like this little mini spinal stretch. So we start with on our left side. So hands on the left side of my body, the left hand is up. And we start with, you know, I don't know, maybe like an 8 to 10 inch size ball. So kind of upper part of the dantian, maybe lower part of the heart. And then as we breathe in, we open this about as far as it feels comfortable for you. Once you start feeling tension, that's far enough. And then that's inhale. And then as we exhale, we bring the hands together. So we're opening, expanding as we separate, and then sinking, kind of retracting, or yeah, I guess sinking is really the best terminology. Breathing in, breathing out, in, out. So we do 3 breaths on the left side, and then as if you're carrying a ball over, we'll do 3 breaths on the right. Breathing in and out. Breathe in and out. In and out. And relax. Good. So y'all look great.
How about you think about filling your heart with love and giving it away?
Yeah, that's very true. You know, actually, I love that. Dr. Lamb talks about, he has a Tai Chi for Rehabilitation series, and actually he has all the lessons for free on YouTube if anyone's interested. And one of the things he talks about is they do this movement here, which is yang style, waving hands like clouds. And so what he talks about here is that, you know, because of the way that the hand position is on this particular style, your hands are reflecting your own internal energy, right? Your own heart, your own dantian energy. And then when you kind of go to rotate, you show others your energy and you share that with them as it goes back across, which is kind of, I thought was kind of neat. So I like that. I like that you're kind of pumping out your heart energy for yourself, for someone else, for your community.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Okay. So quick review of the movements, and then we're going to tie it all together. First one is earth. Second one is metal. Third is water. Fourth is wood. And fifth is fire. Left side, right side. And think about keeping those hands kind of in front of your torso. And really the function of that is if you're over here too far, you're going to start kind of causing too much tension in your back. So you don't really need to have much of a rotation. It's just real slight. So right off just kind of the sides here of your obliques is kind of where your hand should be, or the side of your dantian. So let me start the music, and we will go through the whole form. We'll go through once, and I'll just give you some verbal cues, and we'll close. Take a quick little break, and then we'll go through it one last time with just the music. Sound good? All right, so we'll start again in Wu Ji stance. Feet are together. Notice your stance. Notice your breath. Sink the weight into the right foot. stepping the left out to hip swip. Breathing in, sinking down. Earth element for 3 breaths. Bring the hands up to the heart. Metal element, breathing in and exhaling. Hands lower back down to the earth position for 3 breaths. Water element, rising up and sinking. Back to earth. Wood element. Earth. Fire. Back to earth. And close. Left foot comes back to meet the right. Very good.
So you
How
go
was
to
that?
earth, you go to earth after every one.
That's correct. Uh-huh.
Except the earth one. You know,
Right.
right? You just do the
Right.
earth and then you go into the metal.
That's right. And you know, I'm just doing this all with 3 breaths. You know, what I always tell my students is there's no like qigong or tai chi police that's going to come arrest you. You could do it with 1 breath. You could do it with 5 or 6 breaths. I mean, sets of 3 tend to work really well. And you don't necessarily have to come back to earth after each one, you know. Let's do it one last time before we do our cool downs. I'm not going to speak. I'm just going to turn on the music. Okay. So I'll let you just know when we're going to start. And that's about it. Sound good? So you can go at your own pace. You can watch me just in case you get a bit lost in the movements. And you can always come back to whatever movement you like. That's the kind of the cool thing. If you're just really jamming on, the water meridian, or excuse me, the metal meridian and opening and close here, you can just stay there. Not a problem. Okay?
Improvise.
You got it. All right. So one last time here. And begin. I was trying so hard to time that music. Excellent job. Oh, we still need to do our cool downs. So fantastic job. I hope that felt really nice and peaceful, and just, you can kind of get into the groove, and maybe not through the whole thing, but maybe there's pieces of that little set where you found that your jing, that mental quietness, and you connected with the Dantian breathing. Maybe you feel a little bit more open and hopefully a little more grounded. Let's do our cool down. So it's just loose fists on the thighs.
If I got any more rocks, I would have fallen over.
Good. I think we achieved our goal then. And then we tighten up, and you come up on your toes if you want. You don't have to, and then just relax. And then 3 nice deep breaths. Breathe in and exhaling. You got it, Annie. There you go. Well, thank you all so much for spending the last hour with me and some time on Thursday. I hope that you enjoyed that. You know, as you can see, it's basic movements, but there's a lot of principles. There's a lot of layers to think about, which is something that just really makes qigong and tai chi such a neat practice, kind of a lifelong endeavor if you really want to learn it. So that's all I've got today. I don't know if there's any questions you have. I'm happy to somehow share the videos. We have a YouTube channel. It may be that I need to put them there. And then I'm more than happy to send out kind of my teaching notes if you all would like to have those as well.
Please.
Great.
I was gonna,
On the High Country Lifelong Learners, is there a tape? I know you have tapes on Tai Chi. Is there one where you run through Qigong?
For the High Country Lifelong Learners?
Yeah. Is there, have you done anything like that?
I have not. I'd like to be connected with them. I'm not sure who's the best person to connect. Is there a coordinator?
I mean more the senior center. I should have really said more so, because I think many of the High Country Lifelong Learners are connected with the senior center.
I gotcha.
To say,
Okay.
because if you could do, if you are able to do a video for that for the qigong, I think it would be, you know, just where you go through the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be excellent. I know I would use it. You know, so.
Just as like me modeling the practice?
Yes.
Okay.
Just that, yeah.
Yeah. I'll see if I can do it.
Thank you.
Sure.
and
Annie,
I
did you
will
want to
be
say
in
something?
touch as to how we can proceed, okay?
All right, sounds good. And
Great.
I'm working on another scam and fraud webinar. I wanted to get something out there. Right now, I think it's scheduled for 2 weeks. And the reason why, I know that seems soon, is I really wanted them to focus on
Both.
voter fraud and mail-in voting. I want to get that out as soon as possible.
I understand. But yeah, I hope we can, it's kind of hit or miss right now, but we're trying. And
Yeah,
I think
that's all
we're
we
offering
can
good
do.
things, and we got to keep doing it.
Yep, you
But,
got it.
I'll give you, do you mind if I call you after this?
Let me check out my time. Yeah, that'd be fine.
I
Okay.
would be interested in hearing, seeing the thing about the voter fraud. I didn't know anything about that, you know? Well, of course,
Yeah, well, so we have done, we've done some webinars in the past, and we're going to have this one led by the North Carolina Department of Justice, just really kind of talking about like what are sort of like the latest scams and fraud. A lot of it's going to be focused on what's going on right now with COVID-19. But
yes.
I did ask them to specifically talk about voting and if they're aware of any scams or how to report them. A lot of it has to do more with, you know, your county board of elections. But if there are scams happening, then the Department of Justice usually is kind of tuned into that. So hopefully they can touch on that some. We just want to make sure if people have fear about, you know, mail-in voting or absentee voting, that we can, you know, help diminish those fears.
Are you still recording this?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to stop it though.
My friend here in North Carolina got a thing from President Trump